are celebrating the Martin Luther King Day, and we are at the San Ramon City Hall with none other than Candace Anderson, who is the District 2 Supervisor for the Contra Costa County. Welcome to YoIndiaTV, and what's your message on the MLK Day?
My message today is that here in the United States, and especially here in the San Ramon Valley, we are such a diverse population, and it doesn't matter where we came from, it doesn't matter our ethnicity, our color of skin, our religions, all of those things. We are all here together, working together, and it works very, very well in our community.
We have Desiree Broom from Congressman Eric Swalwell's office. What's the most striking thing that you like about the King?
I would just say the progress that we've made and how relevant it is in today's society. We're still fighting for voting rights, and the foundation that he laid has been super important and instrumental in our fight.
How do you relate King's efforts with the BLM that happened last year in 2020?
I think Dr. King laid amazing foundation and framework for Black people to organize and make so much progress, and I think that BLM, may not have been where we are today if Dr. King hadn't laid that foundation.
We have the San Ramon City Council member Sridhar Veroz, who has organized this beautiful Martin Luther King Day of service right here at San Ramon City Hall.
See, we all strive for one thing, that is civil rights. I think every human being should have civil rights irrespective of their race, color, gender, sexual orientation, political affiliations, religion, or any other aspects that differs or diverse us. So every human being need to have that respect and dignity to live. As per our MLK's dream, we need to share that dream and build the community that way.
And thank you so much for gathering all the elected officials here along with people from different diaspora to represent and to speak and celebrate and have MLK Day as a memorial for the great King.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. We appreciate YoIndiaTV for covering us and being our media partners.
Change the world, I ask myself, am I even old enough to bring good change? As a prudent youth, we all have our bit to play. Even a small gesture of kindness goes a long way. Chance from all the words we've said that made someone stay to helping those in need succeed. Do you know what impact we made? Oh, a little leap of faith in youth we ask, 'cause we can change the world, just give a chance.
Where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So this is one thing I really want to emphasize, because look at my neighbors, look at my co-workers, and look at my community. We always say people have a different ethical background, and we want to look at their characters. Those are some of the characters we want to look at: integrity, honesty, loyalty, respectfulness, responsibility, humility, compassion, and fairness. There's many, many more.
The idea of natural rights states that those who are born have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They are considered the foundation of American freedom. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in a world where he was denied these rights. As a result, he set out to fight the freedom for which he was promised. His nonviolence movement pushed forward new American groups to fight for their rights through peaceful protests. Their cries for equality bring us all here today. I appreciate being able to live in the community, to go to school, and to follow my dreams just like anybody else around me. Thanks to the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. fought for.
We have Mayor Newell from the city of Danville right here for the Martin Luther King of Day celebration. Welcome, sir, to YoIndiaTV. What's your message to the viewers?
Well, great. Thank you for being here. It's exciting as the crowd is gathering. I'm old enough that I remember Saturday, April 4th, 1964. I was a young man and I delivered newspapers. And we got a call that we had to have a special printing that day. Everything was delayed. And sadly, it was just a little over a year and 4 months since the last time we had an assassination when President Kennedy was killed. Martin Luther King was a hero to many young people. And his voice was shut at a very young age of 34 years old. But I think what we find today is his voice still resonates. He's probably one of the most quoted people in the world. He was also only one of 3 American citizens that was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, also back in 1964. So today we're here to carry on that voice and tell people that we're all created equal and that under no circumstances should anybody ever try to silence your voice. And if you think about a bully only exists because people let him do that. And in this case, we're here standing arm in arm to carry the voice of what Martin Luther King said, that no man or person should ever be judged by the color of their skin. We should judge each other by who we are and what we do and how we help each other. So that's why we're here today.
I want to introduce myself. I am Horace Gibson, the chairman of the Diablo Black Men's Group. Our organization was started in the 1990s, and it was started as a social group for black men here in the Diablo Valley area. And the reason why it was started was because many of the black men lived in areas or worked at places where there wasn't very many people that looked like them, and so they sort of formed a social group, and that formed into a little bit more of a development. Years later, we decided that we wanted to sort of give back to the community in forms of scholarship. So now today, I'm proud to say that we have provided over $200,000 scholarships for young African American men right here in Contra Costa County. And as our mission has changed a little bit, our mission is still the same, and that is to promote fellowship among black men, to help African Americans and other minorities in the Diablo Valley actualize full citizenship, including liberty, education, good health, and social equality and economic vitality. And our poet earlier today had mentioned visiting the Lorraine Motel, and I was there a couple of years ago. And if anybody has a chance to ever get to Memphis and stand on those steps, you will have an experience that you will not forget. But it was so awe-inspiring as I stood there and I reflected on exactly how far we have come in this country since the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated. But I also took a moment to understand how far we have to go as a country. It is very important that we all remember where we come from, the work that we need to do by involving ourselves and making sure that we have more positive experiences with people that are different than us, so that we can all share in the dream of Martin Luther King.
have Mayor Dave Hudson from the city of San Ramon right here for the MLK Day celebrations. Welcome to YoIndiaTV, and what's your message to the viewers?
They're old enough to know Martin Luther King and the story that he had in the 60s when he was doing the March for Freedom. Pretty impressive to bring about a story of a man that could get 250,000 people to gather in Washington, D.C. to listen to his message. We're not going to have 250,000 tonight, but the message is going to be the same. There's a lot that's been done, and there's still more to come.
I'm here as a council member for 19 years for Danville, but I'm also here as the founding member of the Exchange Club of San Ramon Valley, of which many people in this audience have been or are currently members, because that organization has put up 14 freedom shrines across the public buildings and the schools in this community, and one of those documents is Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. So you have a chance to read the words yourself. That reside, original documents are in the National Archives in Washington, D.C., where of course Dr. King spoke on the steps, as we just heard again, of the Lincoln Memorial. I want to make a quote from that in fact refers to Lincoln, because my hometown was, and my home was about 6 blocks from President Lincoln's home, because he grew up, and so did I, in Springfield, Illinois. So to quote Dr. King, 50 years ago, a great American, in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon of light of hope to millions of slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. And then near the end of this I Have a Dream speech, may Martin Luther King's words apply equally to the cry for justice for all Americans. I quote, "Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline." And so I have been to that memorial several times. Please carry these words of peace that came from Dr. King whenever and wherever you refer to this great man's legacy.
The right to vote is for granted, but before the 1969, as a colored people, we cannot even to vote. So because of his hard work, his fight, now we can vote.
I want to say that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a man of faith. Dr. King influences me through his unwavering commitment to God and how that commitment translated into his life and his dream. He said on many occasions that spiritual strength allowed him to carry on in the face of persecution. In honor of Dr. King and the faith that inspired him, I would like to offer a reading of the 23rd Psalm as a reminder of these famous words at work in this famous man. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He leads me on paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall feel no evil, for he is with me. His rod and his staff, they comfort me. He prepares for me a table in the presence of my enemies. He has anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever."
Shall overcome. shall overcome someday.
So wonderful to be together with the community to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. It's so critical that we pause and remember him and all of his life's work and where we have to go to get to the just society that he dreamt of.
But when I went into middle school, I learned a little bit more about his legacy and the story of the history of America and how while we were as one nation, as people we were divided. Coming into high school now, I just gained a greater appreciation through certain teachers who have taught me more than I could ever ask for. And they've taught me the true meaning of what Martin Luther King did for this country.
He went to college at the age of 50. And he also won the Grammy for his speech in 1971, why I am supposed to be the war, why am I opposed to the war on Vietnam. He won a Grammy for that. Also, Stevie Wonder got 6 million signatures for this day to be Martin Luther King Day. And final thing that I did not know but found out is the happy birthday song we sing was also created for Dr. King.
Before he turned 40. I'm above 40, so I realized how important and how impactful he was during that short time period. I also reflect on the fact that now it's a very popular belief and a popular stance to support King in his views, in his work. But back in the 60s, he was not a popular person. He was not the hero that he is today. He was arrested almost 30 times. He was beaten.
The one voice, one message that would compel our society to really look at each of us, not differently, but how can we behave and how do we act and how do we work with each other as one. It was a struggle over many years, and yet over time, and unfortunately, with his death and the legacy that basically carried with him, we've not just been better educated, not to have learned, but more importantly, our behavior is beginning to change.
One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King is also, what he said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And this is something that I have seen in both as we look at social justice issues, but even just the last 2 years as we have gone through a worldwide pandemic. In our very diverse community in the San Ramon Valley, I have seen people looking out for one another, helping one another in unique ways that they never had before, looking out for neighbors, individuals that they previously did not know.
First time I've been on an MLK Day memorial celebration, and I have composed this poem for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The story of a brave for racial desegregation to save, dare to dream to make the social structure change, with intense but non-violence activism in his range, making moves in America magnificent and creating civil rights impact significant, venting out the colored and poor people's sentiments, raising voice for discriminatory resentments.
Remember that day on April the 4th, 1968. Newell, day we won't forget, will it? We won't forget that day.
We saw him like we saw Kennedy as a person who wasn't that old person who had that hangover of all her prejudices. We weren't old enough yet to have those prejudices. We believed in him and we trusted him.
As we march forward on the path drawn by legacy, I hope we integrate ourselves in each step. I hope we stay truthful to the lines that made us, while tracing out the ones to those around us. Bettering today's reality and tomorrow's future connectively.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. And only love can do that.
Ignore the lives of those who lived in yellow, brown, and black skins, who loved with every shade of the rainbow, until they only shed one color, red. Erasure. For some, the American flag is factuality. The red and white stripes that fly high in the sky, restrained by nothing but a metal flagpole, and the white stars on the left that blend in with the serene night sky, are symbolic of a country built on freedom and peace.
Below the balcony of the Lorraine Motel where Martin Luther King Jr. died in Memphis, Tennessee, a stone-etched verse from Genesis 37:19. They said one to another, behold, here cometh the dreamer. Let us slay him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Dear Dr. King, your dreams have brought us here, together in the city that listens. During your travels to India, you gained respect and understanding for the idealist and the intellectual. You shared Gandhi's reverence, twin visionaries who never met, but you hoped together. Through Gandhi, you recognized spiritual bonds, expanded nonviolence from a tactic to a way of life. You hoped we could celebrate the dignity of all persons. You hoped we could approach people with religious and secular insight. You hoped to know peace and freedom.
He says, I am convinced that if we are to get on the right side of the world revolution, we as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered.
Dream lives on. Today is a day we all sing in honor of Martin Luther King. Whenever people fight to be free, his name is remembered with dignity. When black people weren't treated right, he stood strong to lead the fight. He fought with love, not guns or darts. He changed people's minds and their hearts. But some people didn't like his words. He was taken away to a better world. Yet his dreams live on, that all can be free when we knock down the walls between you and me. Martin Luther King's life did not last, but his dreams and his spirits are free at last.